What the heck happened with the CDC guidance yesterday? The idea that they put on their website that aerosol sprays are probably largely responsible for some of these issues, but then took that guidance back later. I mean, all I can think is that there's complications because they realize that by putting those scientifically backed facts on the website, it means that businesses and schools and others are going to have to take much more extreme measures in terms of ventilation, in terms of social distancing. Am I missing something?
Well, look, I think that that's right. If in fact there's a conclusion that this spreads through aerosolization, that changes the implications for a lot of businesses. It's really hard to believe that this was an accidental posting of draft guidance that they had to subsequently pull down 48 hours later, that they didn't realize they had put it up over the course of the weekend. The reality is, in terms of how this spreads, I think there was nothing surprising in what the CDC put up. Most people assume that this is droplet transmission, but under ideal circumstances, you do get aerosol spread. If you have the right person in the right room with the right air conditioning system, you're going to get a spread pattern that more closely approximates aerosol transmission as opposed to droplet transmission. It's not a binary choice. These kinds of things exist on a continuum, and a virus that spreads predominantly through droplet transmission under certain circumstances is going to spread through aerosolization. You're going to get drying of the droplets, and you're going to get suspension of the droplet nuclei, of the viral particles. And so I think people need to just assume that that's the fact. Most scientists at this point assume that. And I would expect that at some point CDC's guidance is going to conform to the reality that I think most people have come to accept.
Scott, I know that you were obviously a former member of the administration, but can you just speak to the credibility of the CDC at this point and the politicization of the CDC and how concerned you are about that?
Well, look, I know some of the professional staff at CDC, and I suspect they have to feel bad about what's going on with the organization at this point. They take a lot of pride in that organization and how that agency is perceived around the entire world for the expert guidance that it gives. This is deeply concerning. I mean, seeing these kinds of activities where guidance gets drafted somewhere else and posted on the CDC website, and those kinds of things are very concerning, because you need to be able to accept that the material being put out by an organization, by an agency, represents the view of that agency. And if the administration wants to put out an alternative view on some of these things, they're free to do that, but they should put it out under their signature and not put it out under the imprint of the CDC. If it doesn't represent the work of CDC, it shouldn't have the CDC's logo on it. So that way we can know what the experts at CDC think, and we can know what other people who are drafting some of this material think. So I think that that's the most corrosive event of the last several weeks, seeing information get put up on the CDC website that doesn't necessarily represent the work of the CDC scientists or doesn't represent the consensus of that agency.
Hey, Scott, it's more troubling than that, because I know that businesses and schools are following the guidance that's on the CDC website. And when they say we are following the guidelines, they're not doing anything beyond what's required on that CDC website. And they say, look, this is our liability issue. We have to follow what they tell us to do. How safe are those schools and businesses right now?
Well, look, that's why I think it's corrosive, because you don't know whether or not what you're following represents the expert opinion of the CDC scientists, or whether it represents a policy point of view. And so that's why it's important that the information that's made available be represented by the people who are developing those facts. Look, I think by and large, the material on the CDC website represents the work of the staff scientists at CDC. I think we know what the touch points are where there has been some political consideration given to what's getting posted, and, quite frankly, some political involvement. It's around the testing, and it's around things where we've seen some pushback from the business community. I think at this point, we should be circumspect about whether or not those draft guidelines were accidentally posted, as has been the story over the last 24 hours, or whether there was some pushback on those guidelines. And, quite frankly, 6 months ago, a year ago, we probably wouldn't have suspected that. We wouldn't have been suspicious. Right now, in this environment, after seeing the heavy editing of the MMWR reports, the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly reports that were done, and the editing of testing guidelines that superseded the judgment of the staff scientists at CDC, I think that's the problem with doing things like that. You ruin the credibility of the organization, and you don't get the benefit of the doubt in moments like this, if in fact this really was a mistake and these are going to be put back up in some form that's consistent with the draft that was posted in the last 48 hours.